Hey, starting another week. Sharp from Saskabush. Sorry about that, Sharp. And Lynn from Hitchcock, Texas. Right on, welcome. Hey, starting another week. Sharp from Saskabush. Sorry about that, Sharp. And Lynn from Hitchcock, Texas. Right on, welcome. Starting another week. Okay, sorry about that. Let's start over. I had two volumes on here and didn't realize it. I hope that echo's over with now. And there's Faye and Lawrence. Alrighty. Yeah, the reason is I use one of my laptops on my off-grid and I have to have the volume on there and I forget to turn it off when I go to do a live. Oopsie. I hope it's okay now. It should be. I know I hate those echoes, those loops. Okay, like I say, another week over and starting another week, and we will struggle through it no matter where we are. We all have issues in our provinces, states, countries, you know it. So, thanks, Faye. Now, where was I going to start here? Of course, the list is still in the news, and I'm not getting wrapped up in this list thing, but I will say that I watched Glenn Beck. I think it was yesterday. I think it was from Friday he did the video, but anyways, he did a really good explanation of it. I don't know if anybody caught that or not. And he had, I think it was 5 different scenarios. And he went with number 4. And I agree with him on number 4. Number 4 was, there is no list. The reason being, and this makes sense, the Democrats, they didn't really want this so-called list to show up. You know, like, it's probably names that they didn't want out there, right? And then all of a sudden, oh, hey, they demanded it be shown. And they wanted that to come out. And Trump should show that list. You know, he's holding back. He's hiding something. Well, what Beck said makes sense. That the names, any names involved, all that information has been held back by the FBI. You got to remember what the FBI tried to do to Trump with the Russia, and any other scandal they could dream up to try to take him down, right? So that means the custody of any of those names has been in hands that are undesirables. How much has that been tampered with? How many names been taken off and how many names put on? So it's basically invalidated. It's useless. It's pointless. You know that if there's any Democrat names on there and the FBI had it, they would take them off. And you know whose names they're going to put on there. Tulsi Gabbard has come out now exposing Obama and Hillary Clinton on their dirty deeds on during Trump's first term as president. So might be somebody going to Crowbar Hotel over that one. You never know, right? We'll see what happens. Lawrence, I understand he's a Mormon church member, but I don't hold religion against Glenn. He's an insider. He knows a lot of people, and he has a lot of information, and so I think he is a pretty reliable source. So the fact he's a Mormon, I understand that, and I just don't hold that against him for any reason. Lynn, you're right, it's treason. And we'll see how that plays out. So it's too bad that so many megas have so quickly turned against the Trump administration, against Trump. But maybe they'll understand now. Who knows? It is what it is. If they don't, then the Democrats have succeeded. They've cut the support down. So we'll just leave it at that. That's all I have for my 2 cents worth to put in there. So anyways, I got that out of the way, and that's as far as I go with this whole issue, because it's just a mess, a hot mess. But it's nice to see that Tulsi Gabbard has come out with this information on the on Barack and Clinton's and the rest of them, right? So, yeah, right on, Lawrence, yeah. So, John, not me, Lynn either. I know, I got a couple of Trumpers on here. So, and you know how I support, well, I've shown my support, right, in the U.S., so, well, I'll just leave it at that. I'm definitely not in support of the Democrats, and I definitely do not like the Liberal Party of Canada. Now, the thumbnail that I put up, that was one I got Grok to make for me, because that could be Canada if Carney gets his way with the electric vehicle mandates, with the zero emissions and net zero economy, and that could very well be Canada. People could be in the streets scrounging while the Liberals live in luxury. I was actually in a neighborhood on Friday. There was a recycle bin for cardboard. I was dropping off, looked across, and I seen a flag over there, and a black flag, and I thought, oh, right on, with a Canadian flag. And then when the wind blew, it said, F Trump. Okay. I haven't really seen any of them around, but this is a very, very strong liberal stronghold, right? Like, this is the place where these people do their evening walks together. They have their backyard get-togethers with their wine and snacks, and they brag about their children and grandchildren to each other and try to outdo their neighbors, you know, with, well, my daughter just bought a Tesla, my granddaughter's got a Tesla, right? That's the neighborhood. So, okay, buddy, bunch of new immigrants coming in. 10,000 people are going to be allowed to bring in their grandparents and parents and grandparents. No vetting, nothing, just coming in. Welcome to Canada, welcome to the medical system, welcome to the welfare system and everything else. So maybe these good liberal supporters will take some into their homes in their nice, classy neighborhood, or, you know, they're not going to, right? They're going to hide in their backyard, sipping their wine, talking about their Teslas. So I looked at him and at his house, and he's got a four-wheel drive that's never seen a gravel road. I can tell the type, right? So, yeah, it's that's a liberal right there, through and through. And they probably got good government pensions, right? So they're not worried. They're not taking in any immigrants. But boy, I'll tell you one thing. They'll tell everybody else they better open up their homes, or they better put one of those little one of those little mini structures or whatever that Kearney wants to build. Wants Brookfield to organize their rates so that they can do 4 on a city lot here behind the original home in the city here that this left-wing nutcase liberal mayor just put out the new bylaws that's allowed. So they'll fill them up with a bunch of undesirables, and maybe they'll turn on the homeowner eventually, and they'll kick them out and take over the homeowner's home, right? That's usually the way that works. It ends up anyways. So the bleeding hearts end up being bleeding hearts. And if you're under the age of 16, doing somebody in, it doesn't seem to be a crime in Canada now, I guess, especially if you're a senior. According to, I guess that was what, Ontario? They're looking for a 14-year-old on the run. So, welcome to Canada, where everything goes, but the citizens pay for, in one way or more. So, yeah, liberal dreams, conservative nightmares. There was, where's this one now? Where's my cursor? There it is. I'm not going to bring this up on the screen. I'm going to just bring it up on mine here. I can find it. It was on Zero Hedge. Just give me a second here. It'll open up. Okay. Yeah, this is it here. I think was the one I was going to look at. It's Gabbard to release more Obama Russiagate files. Cannot fathom how Durham Mueller missed evidence of a years-long coup. No kidding. A director of national intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, says excuse me, says she'll release more information next week to follow up on her bombshell declassification of documents that show overwhelming evidence of the Obama administration laid the groundwork for the years-long Trump-Russia collusion investigation after President Trump won the 2016 election. We will be releasing more detailed information about how exactly this took place and the extent to which this information was sought to be hidden from the American people. Hidden from officials who would be in a position to do something about it, Gabbard told Fox News' Maria Bartiromo. Accountability is essential for the future of our country, for the American people to have any sense of trust in the integrity of our democratic republic, something we don't have here in this country. Accountability, action, prosecution, indictments for those who are responsible for trying to steal our democracy is essential for us to make sure that this never happens to our country again, Gabbard told host Maria Bartiromo. I really cannot fathom how special counsels Robert Mueller and John Durham missed evidence of this years-long coup against President Trump. How could they miss that? It's almost like the commissions that we had in Canada. They just seem to miss those important things, eh? There's no rational or logical explanation for why they failed, she said, adding, the only logical conclusion that I can draw in this is that there was direct intent to cover up the truth about what occurred and who was responsible in the broad network of how this seditious conspiracy was concocted and who exactly was responsible for carrying it out. Among other things, Gabbard's team unearthed a September 12, 2016 intelligence community assessment that foreign adversaries do not have and will probably not obtain the capabilities to successfully execute widespread and undetected cyber attacks on election systems. It is happening here, though. They've been caught here, but it's China. At the time, Russia was being accused of setting up troll farms and hacking the DNC email servers. Seth who? And of course, once legitimized by the Obama administration. A steady stream of leaks suggesting that Russia was behind Trump's 2016 victory started appearing in Washington Post and other outlets in sweeping and systemic fashion. Isn't there a lawsuit against the Post? I'm not sure. I'm sure John or Lynn would probably be on top of that. This is big. This is a big deal. General Mike Flynn says this is surreal here in America. The Director of National Intelligence, DNI Gabbard, is now stating emphatically that a former president of the United States, Barack Obama, attempted a coup against the POTUS, Donald Trump. This is why Tulsi Gabbard was attacked so relentlessly over the past few weeks and months. They knew if there were anyone with the guts to investigate the attempted coup, it would be her. Well done, and more to come. Checkmate. Mueller, of course, found insufficient evidence that the Trump campaign colluded with Russia, while Durham, appointed by Bill Barr, son of the guy who hired Jeffrey Epstein for a teaching job and then, then oversaw Epstein's death as AG, accomplished nothing more than a strongly worded letter about the FBI's handling of the Trump-Russia probe. I don't know what excuse there is for those who supposedly investigated this previously, whether it was Durham or others, that they were not able to put together the dots and ultimately show the truth to the American people, said Gabbard, who then stressed that AG Pam Bondi and FBI Director Kash Patel will need to gather up evidence and decide whether to press charges. LOL. LMAO even. Right. Well, it's Paul Sperry. I'm not sure, I'm not familiar with this guy. Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard said we have whistleblowers coming out of the woodwork, including intelligence analysts who worked on Obama and Brennan's fraudulent ICA and are disgusted by what happened, and their affidavits will be provided to the DOJ. Right on. I want to see them fall. There must be indictments of those responsible, no matter how powerful they are and were at the time. No matter who was involved in creating this treasonous conspiracy against the American people, they all must be held accountable, Gabbard continued. For the American people to have any sense of trust in the integrity of our democratic republic, accountability, action, prosecution, and indictments for those who are responsible for trying to steal our democracy is essential for us to make sure that this never happens to our country again. I agree 100%. Now, it is, very disgusting what they pretty much almost pulled off. Like, they put Trump through living hell. They're still scheming, but I think they cooled their heels a bit. So, hopefully, I had, what else I have? Ethics. Oh, I got me a Carney one. I got me a Carney one. Well, look at that. The Carney one is here on this one. This is from Democracy Watch. This is for us Canucks. PM, I'm not going to call him what the full title because he's not mine, but anyways, PM Carney's ethics screen and blind trust are loophole-filled, unethical smoke screens. Screen allows him to participate in and hides his participation in almost all decisions that affect his investments in Brookfield and 550 plus other companies, and his blind trust isn't actually blind. Carney has many financial conflicts of interest. Only effective way to resolve the conflicts is for Carney to sell his investments. This is from July 14th of this year. Ottawa. Today, Democracy Watch called on Prime Minister Carney to sell his investments, including arranging to have Brookfield and other companies buy out his stock options as the only effective way to end the serious, unethical, and damaging financial conflicts of interest caused by his investments in more than 550 companies. PM Carney's so-called blind trust isn't blind at all, because he knows what he put in the trust. Chose his own trustee, was allowed to give the trustee instructions such as don't sell anything, and the trustee is allowed to give him regular updates. In addition, Mr. Carney owns stock options in Brookfield Corporation and Brookfield Asset Management that he can't sell for years, so he knows for sure that he has those investments. The list of shares in 550 plus companies that Mr. Carney owns. And PM Carney's so-called ethics screen, which only applies to 103 of the 550 plus companies, is loophole-filled, unethical. It's a loophole-filled, unethical smokescreen that allows him to participate in and hide that he is participating in almost every decision that affects the companies in which he's invested. Well, isn't that just sweet? In 1987, Justice Parker of the Parker Commission on Conflicts of Interest recommended that top politicians and government officials be required to sell all investments, and that blind trusts be banned because they are an ineffective sham. Pierre sold all his investments, apparently, when he became leader of the Conservative Party. It's a rumor I've heard. Can't put 100% on that, but I put 99 on it. Prime Minister, oh, there it is, Carney, has many financial conflicts of interest, and his blind trust isn't blind at all. That's just a repeat, that paragraph. Because of a huge loophole in the federal government ethics law, and he's got the ethics commissioner under his wing too, of course, just like Trudeau did. Carney's ethics screen, well, why does that paragraph keep repeating itself? They've repeated it 3 times in here. The loophole is that as long as the decision applies generally or affects a broad group of people or entities, then PM Carney is allowed to participate in the decision, even though it will affect a business he's invested in. Isn't that a sweet deal? Even though he can profit from the decision. Almost all, 99% of decisions that the PM and Cabinet make apply generally or to a broad group of people or entities. So he can sit in on every decision for every company, don't matter. Screens also hide the fact that the public office holder is not recusing themselves from decisions even when they have a conflict of interest. So they're hiding that they're not recusing themselves. Subsection 25(1) of the Act requires a public declaration of recusal every time an office holder recuses themselves, but former Ethics Commissioner Mary Dawson created ethics screens to allow office holders to get around that requirement. Well, isn't that nice? They set up a screen, claim that they're recusing themselves from all decisions, and then can hide the fact that they're not actually recusing themselves from decisions that affect their financial or other interests. Why would PM Carney and other cabinet ministers and top government officials, what would they do after selling all their investments? They're paid well compared to most Canadians in the top 1 to 5% of annual salaries. They have among the most generous benefits and pension plans of any employee in Canada. So instead of enriching themselves further through investing in private businesses that cause financial conflicts of interest that taint their decision-making and policy-making, they can buy government bonds or guaranteed investment certificates or other similar financial products that are not connected to any specific business, and that offer a fixed rate of interest for the time period that they remain in office. Then when they leave office, they can again invest in shares and mutual funds and other financial products for investing in businesses. A lot of other changes needed to other federal laws, including closing similarly huge loopholes in the Conflict of Interest Code for members of the House of Commons. That's a joke too, which applies to MPs. And the Senate Ethics Code, that's another joke, closing huge secret unethical lobbying loopholes decreasing the donation limit to the Canada Elections Act to $75 as the current donation limit of $3,300 is essentially legalized bribery for those who can afford to make the maximum donation, that is. Closing huge excessive secrecy loopholes in the Federal Access to Information Act, strengthening the whistleblower protection law, and changing the way that the Ethics Commissioner and other Democratic good government watchdogs are appointed. Given MPs currently have a clear conflict of interest as they choose their own watchdogs. And banning reappointments, as that gives a watchdog an incentive to please MPs in order to secure a reappointment. Wow. Talk about scams. That's our government. They appoint the people to watch over them. Carney appointed a fellow business partner to look after his blind trust. So he'll just tell Carney on the side, you know, like backroom conversations, right? So don't worry, Carney knows exactly what he owns. He's watching, hoping to make a giant bundle of cash and then hit the road, leaving Canada in a worse mess than Trudeau created, much worse than Trudeau created. I don't think he's going to make it a year. I think within the next 8-10 months, we're probably going to have an election. So I don't know. We'll see. The the other thing that's you got to watch for that's going to be coming in is this tokenization is the big one. Tokenization. BlackRock. I'm sure you all heard BlackRock. BlackRock and Brookfield, two big names. New data from the RWA platform tracking tokenized real-world assets, that's what the RWA is, shows that 6 entities are responsible for 88% of all tokenized U.S. treasuries. 6 entities, 88% of all tokenized U.S. treasuries. Data suggests that concentration among a few funds as the market continues to develop. The largest issuer of tokenized treasuries continues to be BlackRock. The company's tokenized U.S. Treasury fund called BUIDL has a market capitalization of $2.5 billion, 360% higher than its nearest competitor. BlackRock disclosed a total of $11.6 trillion in assets under management in the first quarter of 2025. First quarter, $11.6 trillion in assets. Rounding out the top 6 are Franklin Templeton's Benji with a market capitalization of $707 million, Superstate's USTB at $661 million, Ondo's USDY at $586 million, Circle's USVC $487 million, and Ondo's OUSG funding assets worth $424 million. Together, they account for 88% of all tokenized treasuries issued. Now, I'm getting into these tokenized treasuries because it's the future. According to RWA data, the largest tokenized treasury funds have been consolidation since the beginning of 2025. Of the top 6 funds, only Circle's USYC experienced a decline in market cap over the past few months. I'm just going to go down here a bit farther. Centralization of tokenized RWAs has a dark side. Well, imagine that. According to Tracy Jin, Chief Operating Officer of MEXC, the centralization of tokenized real-world assets has a dark side, especially if those RWAs are on permissioned or semi-centralized blockchains. this is the future for us. And don't worry, Carney's all in on this. This will be coming up. This is the U.S. This will be coming up here in Canada with this Liberal government. Mark my words. Most tokenized assets will be issued on permission or semi-centralized blockchains, Jin told Cointelegraph. This gives authorities the power to issue restrictions or confiscate assets. The tokenization of assets, such as real estate or bonds, is still tied to the national legal system. So imagine your house that you let's say you got your mortgage paid off. You know, you're in your late, upper years or whatever, and you got your house paid off, and then all of a sudden along come the RWAs. Well, you don't own your house. That's just an asset. No, you don't own it because it's been tokenized. I think people can buy shares in it. I'm not 100% on that. I'd have to look that up. But since you don't own it, they can just cancel it. So you got to go. Tokenized real-world asset market is expected to boom in 2025. The trend is driven by regulatory clarity and interoperability, solutions for liquidity, the evolution of identity from physical to digital, and even fractional ownership. There it is, fractional ownership. People can have ownership digital in everything you own. According to RWA, the sector total market cap reached a high of $21.3 billion on April 21st. So, you got that right, Faye. Yeah, that was just an article from MSN. I usually don't go there for information, but I'd say that's pretty much bang on. It might be even worse than they reported on. So, this, I'm going to play this little video. It's not very long. It's just, I don't know, maybe a minute and a half or something like that. This was a Canadian MP, Laurel Collins, in British Columbia. So a federal member of parliament, NDP. Fortunately, she's not in government anymore. She lost her seat. Unfortunately, it went to a Liberal. It's not a big difference, but you'd have to hear this to actually believe it. Okay, I gotta switch things over, so you know I usually screw it up. So bear with me. I'll see if I can get this. Okay, we're getting close.
I want to start off by addressing one of the comments that was made by the witnesses around climate hysterics. Hysteria, it refers to something that is wildly emotional. It comes from the Greek word womb, of the womb. It is used in ancient Greek to refer to things associated with women. And I hope you'll forgive me if I get emotional. Climate emergencies are not gender neutral. The degradation of ecosystems disproportionately impacts women and girls. And I am wildly emotional. This is the existential crisis of our time. And to hear that asking for high ambition is climate hysteria, that makes me wildly emotional. Absolutely. You know, when I think about my womb, you know, the 2 children that I bore from that womb and what future we are leaving them, I am wildly emotional. And it's not surprising to hear this from someone who has written articles that are pro-life. I think that we need to think about the intersection of gender and the climate crisis. And I hope that the people around this table and the people listening will refrain from using language like climate hysteria. We are facing a climate emergency.
That kind of freaked me out. She's not in government anymore, folks. She's gone. I would say that her constituents saw the light, but nah, they put in a Liberal. It's probably just about at least half as whacked out as that, or maybe more. I don't know. It just keeps getting crazier. Hey? Don't do that to me. I just had to show you what an NDP MP was like before they got kicked to the curb. Goes out for real. Yeah, unfortunately it was. Well, this is just as bad. Every bit as bad. Matter of fact, I'm going to bring this up on the screen because you probably won't believe me if I just read it. Remember, it keeps getting crazier just when you think it's gone all to pieces. They come up with something else. Okay, I'm going to bring this one up here. This is the Climate Depot. Microsoft wants your poop to lower its emissions. It seeks to store human waste underground to offset carbon footprint and combat climate change. Bill Gates' firm has insatiable appetite for power to feed its AI habit. This is from the Washington State Journal. Involves buying human and farm waste and piping it thousands of feet underground through a pump that acts like a giant syringe. This is about as good as Bill Gates' giant mirror that he was going to put up to reflect the sunlight from the earth. About the same caliber of thought. It is just one of a number of new ways of offsetting carbon that Microsoft is backing, betting that these technologies will help to combat climate change by stopping carbon dioxide and methane from entering the atmosphere. If there was only some way to prevent liberals from being in our atmosphere, eh? Vaulted Deep collects what it calls bio-slurry, which could be human waste from a city's sewage system, excess manure from farm fields, or sludge left over from paper mills. It then grinds it up before injecting it some 5,000 feet underground. Unreal. Microsoft is aiming to be carbon negative by 2030 and is seeking by 2050 to remove from the environment more greenhouse gases than the company has emitted since its founding. Climate Depot note, this is not Microsoft's first dalliance with poop. Remember? Flashback 2015, Bill Gates brags, I drank water made from human feces. Yeah. So that's it, and that was the short version. Other unusual carbon removal projects that have piqued the interest of Microsoft include regrowing former rainforests in Panama. Wait, no. Isn't Microsoft involved in deforestation in South America? Yeah, I think so. And inadvertently creating cattle ranchers out of financiers in the process. And collecting the emissions generated during the incineration of swaths of trash from a Norwegian city and burying the gases deep under the North Sea in former oil wells. So, yeah. That's enough of that foolishness. I don't know. Like I said, just so you think it can't get any stupider and crazier. It does. They always come up with something new that, okay, I got rid of that and that. What else? What else, I say, are they going to try to do to us? Well, what happened to intelligence? It's artificial now, Mr. Magoo. No kidding, eh? Oh. I'm just browsing here for a second because I've burnt through a lot of stuff here fast. There's I want to go back. Maybe it was Fraser Institute. I was looking at something here. Maybe not. There's what's this? Well, we could go back to immigration. When nothing else, can always talk about immigration. Average annual immigration was 617,800 from 2000 to 2015. So in 15 years, there was 617,000, I'll say 618,000, round up, immigrants come into Canada. But from 2016 to 2024, 1.4 million. So in 15 years, 618,000. In 8 years, 1.4 million. What happened? Oh yeah, right. Trudeau. And now Carney. Carney's not backing off on the immigration either. I don't know if I got new numbers here on it or not. I'll take a quick look on our claims by year, by 2025. Let's see what it says. We've got, I'm just going to go all the way to the bottom. I'm not going over everything. I'm going all the way to the bottom. But I know there's the biggest provinces, of course, are Quebec and Ontario. That's fine with me. Sorry about your luck if you live in Ontario or Quebec. But hey, you can have them. Although they're being spread out because the Liberal premiers are demanding. This one here is demanding that we get more. I bet there's none in her neighborhood. So down bottom line, so far this year, January, February, March, April, the asylum claimants processed was 27,260. So they processed that many. That's asylum. That's not immigration, folks. It's asylum claims. These are the ones that walked in with their Gucci luggage and say, I'm claiming asylum, I lost my ID. Trust me, I'm good. I need money and a roof over my head. And the ones processed by CBSA and IRCC was 39,445. That's the total for all of them. So in 4 months, 40,000. 10,000 a month asylum claimants. I know you people in the U.S. are thinking we'd be happy with that number, but we're a lot smaller population and a lot smaller finances, resources, because we can't use our resources. We can't get our oil and gas, can't do any mining. We can buy solar panels from China, windmills from China, and we can put them up. Really don't want us farming or growing vegetables or raising cattle or anything like that. They don't want us driving vehicles unless they're electric that you can't charge because there's no charging stations. That's kind of a quick look at the state of the country that we're in right now. And actually there's lots more we can get into on where we're at. I know it's a complete chaotic hot mess. This climate is, look, there's two things that are driving me crazy. The climate crap and the immigration. You probably know that because I probably bring it up every week. Remember the UK, they wanted to block out the sun over in the UK, right? They're complete idiots. Although I shouldn't talk, I might be getting ahead of myself because Carney might come up with that soon too. Well, let's just block it out. Why not do more spraying? They keep trying to scare people. They're using fear. That's what the Liberals ran on anyways, was fear. Let's see. Well, what's this one? This sounds interesting. An unearthed chat sheds light on cozy ties between judges, climate activists, raising ethical concerns. This is in the U.S. Don't kid yourself, it's here too. Look at the judges appointed by Trudeau, all these nutcase judges. To think that these judges were lawyers at one time representing clients. I'm sure some of the clients thought, boy, did I make a mistake getting this lawyer. Anyways, it's raising ethical concerns. Senator Cruz condemns environmental groups' efforts as judicial capture to undermine American energy dominance. An environmental advocacy group accused of trying to manipulate judges organized a years-long nationwide online forum with jurists to promote favorable info and litigation updates regarding climate issues until the email-styled group chat was abruptly made private. Fox News Digital found. The Climate Judiciary Project was founded in 2018 by left-wing environmental nonprofit, the Environmental Law Institute, and pitches itself as a first-of-its-kind effort that provides judges with authoritative, objective, and trusted education on climate science, the impacts of climate change, and the ways climate science is arising in the law. Yeah, they fund the CJP to train judges, Cruz said during a June hearing. So, quote, unquote, train in climate science and make them agreeable to creative climate litigation tactics. Then these left-wing bankrollers turn around and fund the climate litigators who will bring these bogus cases before those same judges that they've just indoctrinated. It's like paying the players to play and paying the umpire to call the shots the way you want. The group, however, says it provides neutral, objective information to the judiciary about the science of climate change as it is understood by the expert scientific community and relevant to the current and future litigation. Future litigation. CJP rolled out a listserv where leaders from the Climate Judiciary Project could message directly with the judges. How convenient. One of the efforts the CJP launched and included rolling out an email-styled listserv by which leaders from the Climate Judiciary Project could message directly with judges, documents obtained by Fox News Digital Show. The listserv was launched in September of 2022 and maintained until May of 2024, according to the documents. A portal website page for the forum was previously publicly available, with an archived link saved in July 2024 showing there were 29 members in the group. Judicial, Leaders in Climate Science. The archived website link reviewed by Fox Digital reads, accompanied by a short description that the group was a forum of judicial leaders in climate science to share resources. As soon as I see experts and scientists, that's when the flags start popping up. We'll never forget about all the experts in 2020 and how they dealt with us. They do not like us. They'll lie to protect their lies, and they'll try to make us actually go along with their lies. Consent, which we don't do very well. So yeah, oh yeah, the stuff that's going on behind the scenes we don't know about is what's really scary. And pretty soon, in Canada, we won't get this information because it'll be censored. So, it's, you know, that's the next bill coming down if Parliament ever gets back in. See, Carney's dodging Parliament. He's having a great time out on holidays, though. But I don't expect to see him in the question period very much because he's going to get trashed and he can't take it. So I don't expect to see him. I see there's over 100 on the longest ballot out there in Crowfoot. I think it's Crowfoot or Crowchild, where Pierre is running. And yeah, longest ballot. They put 100 on there. The guy doing that should be charged for election interference because he's the one that's putting all the names on. The people aren't doing it themselves. They're just giving them the names. He's putting them on. As far as I know, that's how that's working. Therefore, I think that's election interference. So, and this one here applies to Canada. It's US, but it applies to Canada. It applies to UK. It applies to Germany, Netherlands, all countries of the West, Australia, New Zealand. The climate extremists took over America's classrooms. Justice Department files lawsuits against 4 states for allegedly funneling public funds into unconstitutional climate litigation. They have destroyed the education system. It's all about gender and climate change. And you can be any gender you want. There's an unknown number of genders, so just whatever you want to be, you can be that. And if you want to change your gender, you can change it. You won't be changing it back. It's a one-way deal. But your parents don't have to know. That just come out again now. The parents, yeah, they told the kids, I think it was here, in this province. I'm not 100% sure. It might have been Ontario. Almost sounds like an Ontario thing, but it sounds like here too. That, no, your parents have no right to know if you're changing your gender. It's none of their business. Even though you're just a minor, just a little kid, it's still none of their business because you got teachers to look after you. Yeah. Not a healthy environment for children, and people should not be sending their kids to public schools. So, the test scores are down, and the lingering hangover from the 2020 era, remote classes, to teacher shortages and mounting public frustration over gender ideology. Taken from a former teacher, another grave problem is haunting our classrooms. Climate extremists have infiltrated American schools. And like I say, every country in the West, I would say. And they're indoctrinating our children in radical ideology. It's time the Department of Justice took action to stop it. I worked for many years as a teacher and saw firsthand just how deeply rooted this climate ideology is in our classrooms. Unfortunately, here in Canada, we don't have anything like, well, I guess we have the equivalent of the Department of Justice, but it's all liberal. So that's like, well, you're wasting your time. Besides, they're the experts, right? And they trust the science. They're still pushing the arm poke in Ontario for nurses. So, right? You gotta have your up-to-date arm poke before you can. They need nurses. They'll hire them, but you gotta get that arm poke first. I thought that was all gone, but apparently not under Doug Ford's watch. I laughed. I was watching Sheila and David. They've got a new show there. It's a half hour through the day there. I forget the guy's name was on there, and he called Doug Ford Fat Trudeau. I cracked up when I heard that. It's exactly what he is, Fat Trudeau. Sad. People thought they were getting a Conservative, and then when the last election, you didn't have any option. So you had to vote in Fat Trudeau again. He thinks he's going to be leader of the Conservative Party. He's living in dream world. In the summer of 2024, New York City, Columbia University partnered with New York City Public Schools to hold a 4-day workshop for teachers called Integrating Climate Education in New York City Public Schools. The aim should be clear from the name. Teachers were guided how to interweave climate hysteria into their lesson plans. The kids are scared to death. They think they're going to burn up. You know, and they're going to blame their parents and grandparents for it. Because the teachers are going to say so. They're going to say, well, it's your parents' fault. You know. A reporter later visited a public school in the Bronx where a teacher was reading her students a book about flooding in Africa and what's causing all these rains and storms and floods, she asked. Carbon, an 8-year-old answered. Carbon's doing it. See? So, it's all the kids know is carbon's bad. Grampy's driving an F-150. He's destroying the planet. But our neighbors have a Tesla. Yeah. See, this 20% by 2026 of vehicles on the lots have to be EV, according to Kearney. They're going to sit there too. That 20% are going to sit there. They're not going to sell. There's no place to charge them. And nobody wants one anyways. What do you do with the old batteries? There's a whole list of problems with them. Going up to 100% by what, 2030? I think. Somewhere's around there. So, yeah, you got to get him out. He's got to go. And he's got to be investigated for siphoning money off. He's a crook. He went in as a crook, and he's going to stay a crook. So he was selected by the WEF. The United Nations wanted him in there. Same with Trudeau. They didn't want to deal too closely with Trudeau because he was an idiot. But they wanted liberal governments. Same in the U.S. They want Democrats. I think Trump's talking about getting out of the UN, isn't he? Or he did it one time, I think. And if he bails on the UN, well, where are we here? Oh, I see Lawrence, you had a comment there. Where'd it go? Way back in the 80s, there used to be a Newfoundland MP, name is John, that's John Crosby. John Crosby. I'll never forget his line with Sheila Copps. He stood up. I was watching it. He stood up in House of Commons, and he looked at Sheila Copps, and he said, "Roll over, Sheila, and pass the tequila." And the Conservatives had a big chuckle out of it, and the Liberals were aghast that somebody would say something like that. I think he had to mumble some type of an apology or half apology or something the next time he was in the House, but those were the good old days. Tequila Sheila, yeah. Apparently she liked her booze. And if you've seen her lately, she's still kicking around, the old dinosaur. Doesn't look too good. So, let's see. Trump wants the Washington Commanders to turn back the name to Washington Redskins. Yes, and I think I heard that a lot of the natives want that too, because they liked it. You know, they're out there. The Redskins are out there fighting to win, and yeah, they got to. I mean, look what they did to the Edmonton Eskimos. It's funny. For a province like Alberta that is so conservative, local governments end up being pretty far left, Calgary and Edmonton, and they run with it, eh? And when I was working northern Alberta, I spent a lot of time in Edmonton, and a buddy of mine, another pipe fitter, he was born and raised in Alberta, and I would stay there while I was waiting to pull a slip to go to work. And we went to a bar that he grew up in his old neighborhood. And we got there, and I was surrounded, I couldn't believe it. These are tradespeople, and they're all NDP. You're working in the oil and gas industry? And you guys are all NDP? Well, I was shocked, gobsmacked. Well, anyways, you just never know who's around you. Sharp will drive all the car dealers into bankruptcy. Yeah, they're going to leave. Well, the manufacturers will leave. Mega, make Indians great again. Yeah, gotta love Trump. He knows how to stir it up, but it makes sense. You know. Now it's. I heard that Biden, if he can still function, I think he said that he didn't know who was using the auto pen. They figure it was Obama using the auto pen. So who knows? All we know now is that Carney was running Trudeau, and now Trudeau got booted, and now Carney's in doing it himself. So, and the country's falling apart, and we're going to end up third world. We're getting close. It's a matter of time. Matter of a few more bills being passed. The media, they're still trying to support Carney is still giving them money, increasing their money rate. So of course you're going to support them. And that's who we're stuck with. I think, like I say though, hopefully no more than another 8 months. He's going to do a lot of damage, major. And what else did I have here? Oh boy. Panic mode. Democratic Rep Jim Hines demands DNI Gabbard halt release of Obama-era deep state docs. Claims John Brennan's life's in danger from mega mouth breathers. You're sick. Democrat panic is reaching a boiling point. Democrat Congressman Jim Hines, looks like DCT, I take it that's Connecticut, the top Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee, went into full-blown panic mode, demanding that Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard stop releasing documents that expose Obama-era deep state collusion and abuse of power. Can't have that. People hearing people getting the real goods. Gabbard's move follows a stunning declassification of documents that expose how Barack Obama's intelligence cronies, including John Brennan, used Hillary Clinton's phony Russia dossier to frame Trump and orchestrate an illegal coup attempt. But Representative Hines doesn't want the truth to see daylight. In a truly unhinged interview, Hines lashed out at Gabbard, accusing her of spreading a dangerous lie, and warning that Brennan's life could be in danger from mega mouth breathers. Margaret, this is a transcript from CBS News. Margaret Brennan, we are continuing our conversation now with Connecticut Congressman Jim Hines, who is a ranking member on the Intelligence Committee. Congressman, I want to pick up that topic. Just a statement of fact here. A bipartisan Senate Intelligence Committee investigation found that the U.S. intelligence community assessment of Russian interference in the 2016 election was correct. They deemed it to be so on bipartisan basis. I'm saying that because today and yesterday, the director of the intelligence community, Tulsi Gabbard, has said that she is referring for prosecution former American officials she accused of treasonous conspiracy, a years-long coup against President Trump, because they assessed Russia had tried to influence the election. This is weeks after the CIA director issued a report critiquing the tradecraft that went into that 2016 assessment. Is there any legal basis for any kind of prosecution here? Now Hines, he says none, absolutely none. Nothing to see here, folks. Look away. Look the other way. What you saw from the Director of National Intelligence, Gabbard, was not just a lie, but a very dangerous lie, because when you start throwing around language like sedition and treason, somebody's going to get hurt. Yeah, you bet. Now you pointed out that the Senate committee, then led by Marco Rubio, a Republican, and now Secretary of State, found unanimously that Russia meddled in the election to try to assist Donald Trump. Huh? This is getting this. John Durham, special counsel appointed by Donald Trump, investigated this, found that the Senate report was correct. Now what Tulsi is doing is a little sleight of hand, but it's worth focusing on. She's saying the Intelligence Committee early on said that Russians cannot use cyber tools to mess with the voting infrastructure, the machines that tally our votes. Anyways, I'm not going to go all through that, because this guy here is just doing a song and dance and trying to call Gabbard, who used to be a Democrat before she went to an independent and then joined the Republicans, spilling the beans. And they don't like it. They're thinking, oh no, we're in trouble. Shut her up. Shut her up. I love watching liberals and Democrats panic. That's when I'm having a good day. We're coming out of the woodwork. Gabbard says, disgusted whistleblowers who helped craft Obama Brennan's phony Russia report are turning over affidavits to the DOJ. How do you like that there, Jim Himes? I bet you don't. You're going to really panic now. Maybe he's having a panic attack. Let's see, the U.S. going to charge travelers $250 visa integrity fee. Experts say it could raise $30 billion over the next decade. That's for people coming from Canada into the U.S. that it's not Canadian-born citizens. It's the ones that were brought in by Trudeau and Carney that are permanent residents or temporary residents or whatever. They're going to pay $250 even for a day trip. Good. I don't blame them. You don't know who they are anyways. Liquid Gal. Foreign workers are coming in through the 2014 International Mobility Program. There's no labor impact assessment required. 2022, there are 472,000 people brought in this way, 3 times more than temporary foreign workers. Well. International Mobility Program, that would have been brought in under Harper. But I think the numbers were very low under Harper. And of course, the Liberals are abusing it. I think I've seen something about that somewhere. It just seems familiar, but I'm not sure. Maybe I didn't. UN Migrant Compact. Yeah. So, I don't know what's going on. I haven't seen much lately up in Toronto or Montreal with the Palestinian protesters, pro-Palestinian protesters. It must still be going on, but I haven't seen anything in the news. It's going to be happening. Well, with the influx. See, Netanyahu was talking to Trump, or Netanyahu's right-hand man or something, but Trump about finding places for the Gazans to empty it out, basically, wanting countries to take them in. That scares the hell out of me because Carney will be elbows up for that. Well, he not against it. He'll have hand up, rather. We'll take a few thousand. Give us 100,000. And then that should just about finish us off. I don't know how much longer we can hold together. Because all it takes is those 7 NDP to back the Liberals, to back Carney. I don't think they will, but that's to be seen. Depends what he's willing to toss to the NDP. They see how well it worked for Singh. I just heard that Singh is just out cruising around on his bicycle in his neighborhood now, enjoying his pension. All the money he pocketed while he was in there. Lawrence was at Walmart yesterday. There were a dozen or so employees, 11 or 12 are foreigners. Yeah, you can't go to any, I don't go to fast food anyways, but apparently you can't go to any of them pretty much without it being East Indian mainly. That's the biggest number of immigrants are coming in from India and Middle East. So, I mean, you can pick your nationality. If you go to Tim Hortons, you can have East Indians. If you go to Pizza, you can have Sikhs. If you go to Dollarama, it's a mix. some natural born Canadians and some mixture of different nationalities, whatever the owner can get in there to get his support from the government on our tax dollars. Yeah, it seems they all kind of pick their fast food places where they go to work. I guess once you get a couple or three in, then the rest will follow. Little Caesars Pizza. Yeah, that was the one I meant, actually. Little Caesars. So you see, once one franchise owner gets it, the rest of them probably follow suit, right? So, number 1, India. Number 2, China. Number 3, Philippines. Notice the top 2 countries have billions of people. That they wouldn't miss them, yeah. Philippines is a pretty good bunch. Never had any issue with the Philippines. They're very polite and hard workers, friendly, you know. India, well, look at the mess up in Ontario on the beaches in Lake Ontario, and I just watched Moose, and he was showing about all the garbage they're leaving laying around and how that's what they do in India, and they just throw stuff everywhere, and they're doing the same thing here. Why don't you pay them $10 an hour and they get the difference in the government program, yeah, from us. We get the shaft. The old song. They get the gold mine, we get the shaft. Let's see, I'm trying to think of some of the other places. I go to the Atlantic Superstore sometimes, and Sobeys. A lot of senior citizens working there because their pensions aren't enough to get by on. So they're working in the grocery stores running cash. The Costco, it's a mixture. So yeah, it is what it is, but as long as you got this government, it's going to get worse. Pierre keeps saying we need demigration. I kind of like that. We'll see. He's got to get in there first. Hey, DoorDash is immigrants. I've never ever used it. I don't plan on it. But if I buy anything online, it's all immigrants. All the Amazon deliveries and all that stuff, it's all, yeah, all foreigners. So, I noticed a lot of people from other countries are driving high-end vehicles, new vehicles, nice ones. Lawrence Canadian Tire, mostly Canadian employees, yeah. So, I know the government store here, they had one guy that was, I guess he thinks he's a female. He's got a ponytail and these bumps in his shirt that kept getting bigger every time I was in there. And I wouldn't even go to him. Usually he was the only one working, or it was the only one working rather, and I felt that was wrong because I think it was playing the card, the gender card, to get more hours. So it's not there anymore, which is good to see. He, she, they, whatever. I'm a little tired of that stuff too. Stats can, mostly foreigners. Wow. Like I say, it's going to get worse. I'm not sure. I don't think I don't think it's the first year income tax free or something. I don't think you pay any income tax. Could be wrong on that, but I think that's their welcome. If you go to work, you don't get taxed. And speaking of taxes, you just watch. That clean fuel tax right now is adding up, and there's going to be an increase in the HST or GST or whatever province you're in. And I bet it's not going to just be 2% either. I bet it might even go up. It'll probably be 2% and then go to 5%. So they're going to hit us hard because, excuse me, giving money away around the world, spending it on stupid stuff. So they got to get the money somewheres. So they're going to take it from us. Betty, every place has foreigners in Toronto. Toronto is a rat hole. Has been for years. I never spent any amount of time in Toronto. I was there on my disastrous train trip across Canada. Oh man, I'll never forget that. I finished working a shutdown south of Calgary. Did 35 12-hour shifts, nights, straight, no time off. It was at a chemical plant, a fertilizer plant actually, and made all kinds of coin. So I wanted to get back to the East Coast, and there was an airline strike. So here I am, pocket full of cash. How am I going to get home? Well, I went to Via. Well, that was a mistake. I might as well just got a room and stayed in Alberta. Anyways, I got on the train. It was the worst experience I've ever had. And the conductors, or whatever they're called, were just like a bunch of snotty old people, just ignorant. It's like they hated their job. I don't blame them. They were traveling on that train all the time, but I mean, come on. Show a little courtesy. I went into the meal car to have dinner, and they made me sit down with this elderly couple. There's nobody else in there. I said, we're not together. Don't matter, you got to sit here. So here they are. They're on he was a retired CN employee, and they were on basically their second honeymoon. They got me stuck at the table with them. This is terrible. And then I had to change in Toronto, so I had to take the subway. And it was gross. And I stopped into a pub to get some lunch. And it was like the people thought they were New Yorkers. And I'm thinking, this is weird. Like these people are strange. And then I get on the train, and to come in, I had to go through some express train or something, goes from Toronto to Montreal. And then I had to get off that one and get on another train. And then that brought me down into New Brunswick, but it wouldn't stop at the capital city because they tore the tracks up. So then I had to go, I think it was to Moncton. And then I had to take a bus back to Fredericton. And I get off just cussing out CN, and oh, what a wreck. So that was my experience with train travel across the country. Jeez. No wonder they go broke. Let's see. Betty, every place foreigners in Toronto. Lawrence, I was tagged to be surveyed by Stats Canada. They said it was voluntary but mandatory for those selected. Finished the survey today, 7 months of questions. Lynn, you took a train from Houston to New York 2 times. Extreme torture, 3 days, no shower, no sleep. Yeah, no kidding. How do you sleep with that thing? We had to keep pulling over because they share tracks with the freighters. So we just get pulled over and this freighter come blowing by us full speed. I'm thinking, we just get off the track, off onto the side, whatever it's called. Siding, I think they call it. No bar car. Yeah, there was, but they shut it down. I think you're supposed to be first class or something. I don't know. They don't want the no class in there. They just want the first class. So, anyways, and that was only from. They closed it. That's right too. They shut the bar car down because they crossed the provincial line, and there's different provincial regulations. So I think it was Saskatchewan, maybe Manitoba. They had to shut the bar car down. Then by the time you get to Ontario, the border, it's too late. It's just a crap show, the whole thing. You want to take the Rocky Mountaineer? I took that one from Vancouver to Calgary. That goes through at night because you got to go through the canyon. The way it's scheduled, you go through the canyon at night because the tracks are so narrow on the side of the mountain that they don't want people flipping out, So, and then the rest of it is daytime. So it's different. It's all good. Jesus is returning soon. Thank you, Lord Jesus. You better hurry up. Because it's a holy mess. Professionalism is a relic from the past in Toronto. Everyone just lives by the standards of where they came from. Yeah. I'm surprised Dougie hasn't straightened that out yet. It's too bad. Too bad for Ontario with Doug Ford. Too bad for us here with Susie Holt. Her husband's got a rainbow belt buckle. You can tell that's a dysfunctional family. The kids don't know what to do. You can tell they're lost. Daddy's weird and mother's crazy. So, and the kids, how are they going to grow up? And then Nova Scotia got Houston down there. There's another turncoat, Tory turned liberal, trying to pretend he's a conservative, but he's a liberal. PEI is all liberal anyways, pretty much. Newfoundland, I don't know. So Atlantic Canada's a mess, but right here where I'm at, it is very hardcore liberal. I just got to bite my tongue a lot of times because if I'm out in public, I can pick them out now. I can pick them out. It's either what they're driving, what they're wearing, or getting pretty good at judging. I know I shouldn't judge because sometimes I'm wrong, but I'll tell you, I think percentage is in my favor. Picking the right ones and what they are. Ones that got me was the friends I grew up with. I couldn't believe they were flipped out, gone liberal. Lord, awesome job. Thanks. Can't be blessed. Everyone remain safe. Jesus' name. Okay, Lawrence, thank you very much. Yeah, we go on here and we throw a little BS around, have some fun, and do our little weekly gathering. Appreciate everybody being here through on Sundays. There's other things you could be doing, but we're here to discuss a few things and sometimes get something out that somebody hasn't heard somewhere else. So I think what I'll do is we'll wind down and say thank you for joining in. I hope you enjoyed our time here together. We'll get her going next week. I got to go back up to my off-grid. I had mice running through there on the weekend. There's 3 of them coming in at once. I don't know where they're getting in. I'm on the mouse hunt. I'm out I'm out to destroy them. So it's just disgusting. Nothing worse than mice in a place. They destroy everything. So, okay, folks, we'll do it again next week. Once again, thank you so much, and have a wonderful week. Look at the bright side. It's out there. You just got to find it. And take the path of least resistance. Bye for now. God bless.